And thank you, good people, for hanging on to this episode of the Real Leaders Podcast with James Bidwell. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Folks, if you have any questions for James, please just send them in the chat box now. I will read them to him. Please don't be shy. We just want to answer a few questions here. And also, folks, for just listening to this on LinkedIn or you're on Crowdcast, this episode will be edited and produced and later released tomorrow, Wednesday, March 17th at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to subscribe to the Real Leaders Podcast and be notified of that release, hit the link in the first chat in that chat box up there. Also, James, where can people find more information about Springwise and Reset?
So the best place is to go to www.springwise.com or www.thisisreset.com. And in particular on thisisreset.com, there's information about me, and there's a page about me if you're interested in any of that. There's my book, Disrupt, 100 Lessons in Business Innovation, which is at all good bookstores. So, and I'm on Twitter as well. The only one I'm on is Twitter and LinkedIn, but not the other one we talked about earlier. So, right, yeah, so look me up and send me any questions or comments, please.
Well, James, while we're waiting here for a few questions to slide in, usually we have one or two. The one question I didn't ask that I was going to ask, but we kind of went to pivoted to a new topic was the parallel between COVID and climate change. And so what is going to make a consumer or a human being respond to a change that's necessary to improve or save lives? And obviously, there's a psychological effect with an enemy that is near, a virus that seems gross to us or that could potentially get us. We wear masks, we social distance, we stay inside for eons. But when it comes to a threat that's even larger, climate change, it's nowhere to be seen unless it happens to you, and then it kind of goes away. Unless it was, obviously someone dies or you're like you said in California, your house burns down. Do you think that there's going to be something with climate change that's going to radically change the way we live on a daily basis?
So the good news is we have demonstrated with COVID that we can mobilize in the face of crisis and we can get out of it. And I got vaccinated today. So I'm on the way. But we have, and the UK has actually got a great vaccination program, and I think the US is following quickly with a very good vaccination program. So we know that as a human race, we can respond, we can lock down, we can do all of that when we have an immediate, urgent crisis. The problem with climate change is it's in 20 years, and that's one thing, or even sooner. And the other thing is once it's here, it's not possible to just say, okay, lock down for a year, and we're it's going to be too late. And so I think it's a debate that we should be having, and the things that we need to be that's why we all need to be sort of thinking about it now. So I don't know, even the tsunamis and the fires in California and the fires in Australia and all the river pollution, the sea pollution, the plastic, no one seems to make any changes. You'll go out and everyone's still chucking stuff out of their car windows, when they've been to the takeaway and all of that kind of thing. Buying great big cars that have more emissions than you possibly could ever need. So it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And I think, again, if business didn't make great big cars that emit tons of emissions, then we wouldn't have them. So the businesses that are selling products that they know are bad, it's a bit like the cigarette market. I mean, they're still going. So I don't know what to say. It needs us all to be active and activate on it, because it's a very difficult problem.
Well, I think you make a good point. Is we wait and we wait, and it's just human nature to wait until you're in a store where everyone else is wearing a mask, ambitiously and savagely buying toilet paper off the shelves, and you're looking around and you're going, what is going on? And then next week you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's just how we operate. And it's unfortunate we wait till the last moment. But here's one thing I will throw at you is, and I would love to hear if you have any companies working on this, and that is water shortage. I think water supply is going to be, if climate changes the ocean, the shark that's going to scare everybody is water shortage. And there's droughts all around the world that have been happening for the history of time. Let's not get that wrong here, but are continually increasingly happening. And there's so much evidence to prove it, yet we're not doing much about it.
Yep. I think it's a hugely good point. And maybe that is the sort of symptom that hits us before the other big symptoms and makes us really address it. I think water is a huge problem, and I know it's a problem in Southern Europe. And I know I was watching something on California, and I think in the valley where all the food is grown, all the fruit and the dates and the almonds, extraordinary amounts of water are consumed in order to do that. And the presenter was standing in a place where the land, all the reservoir underneath have been taken, all the water's been sucked out of them, and the land's just falling in because the water's gone. So that will inevitably, with population growth, water will be a commodity. Now, whether we see innovation that can change seawater into drinking water, that can create water in different ways, I think it's a big area for innovation, and we see some smaller innovations around that on Springwise.
Good. That's I hope, hopefully promising, because I've got people in commercial real estate telling me Mexico City is just going to run out of water soon. It's like a sink at the bottom that's just drying up, and the city's going to fall down, and it's going to be, it's one of the largest cities in the world we're talking about here. So it's interesting times, and I hope we don't wait until the last second to change something like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, James, well, no more questions for you. Maybe people are just puzzled right now. They're just puzzled, like, wow, what a fantastic conversation that was. I don't know what questions to ask. And I would agree with them, James, because I thought this was a fantastic conversation myself. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait to get to the editing process and produce this tomorrow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those good places, folks, where you like to listen to those podcasts. Any last words today, James?
Look, I thank you so much for your time today, and to your listeners. And you're doing such a great thing, spotlighting leaders. Leaders are going to make the change, and real leaders, purposeful leaders with the right mission are going to be part of the future and part of the solution to the problems we're seeing. So I've really appreciated the opportunity to talk to you and share my story. Thank you.
Well, James, I appreciate you reaching out. A lot of people reach out, but I knew you were a follower of the show. I knew you were interested, and that's what makes this work. So, and keeps the show going, James. So I appreciate you reaching out, taking the time to do that. We're always happy to have you back on the show as well, my friend. So stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
All right, James. Good night there in England.
Yeah, it's getting dark now.